Hey, this is the first part of Magic White and Black that I share with you. It is chapter 7, the first part of chapter 7. Does that make sense? In my world it does. It's about consciousness and it's an important one. And when you go to the end of this audio/video, then you will hear my interpretation of what he is conveying here. Also, keep in mind, this book has been written in 1888. And as I told you in the very first video that I made about this series, tell your conscious and subconscious mind that you will only let in that which serves you. And now let's begin the first adventures with Magic, White and Black. Chapter 7. Consciousness. I am that I am. Bible. Universal mind. Everything in the universe is a manifestation of the universal mind. Everything is therefore mind itself and exists in absolute consciousness. But relative consciousness begins when it becomes manifest in the form. The term consciousness signifies realization of existence. Consciousness in the absolute is unconsciousness in relation to things. Consciousness means knowledge and life. Unconsciousness is ignorance and death. An imperfect knowledge is a state of imperfect consciousness. The highest possible state of consciousness is the full realization of the truth. A thing has no existence relatively to ourselves before we become conscious of its existence. A person who does not realize his own existence is unconscious and, for the time being, to all practical purposes, dead. We cannot actually realize the existence of a power which we do not possess. We see the effects produced by electricity and realize that such effects take place. But we do not realize the existence or the nature of what is called electricity if we are not conscious of that same power existing in our own constitution. In the same sense, we can realize the effect of the manifestation of divine wisdom within the universe. We behold the expression of beauty, justice, and truth, but we cannot realize the existence of these principles unless we become conscious of their presence in us. God's works exist, and we see the products of the action of His Spirit in nature. But God Himself is to us a non-entity if we are not rendered divine by His presence in us. We cannot realize the nature of God unless His divine nature is present in us and comes to our own consciousness. A state of existence is incomprehensible unless it is experienced and realized, and it begins to exist from the moment that it is realized. If a person were the legal possessor of millions of money and did not know it, he would have no means to dispose of it or enjoy it. A man is present at the delivery of the most eloquent speech, and unless he hears what is said, that speech will have no existence for him. Every man is endowed with reason and conscience, but if he never listens to its voice, the relation between him and the voice of wisdom will cease to exist, and it will die for him in proportion as he dies to the power to hear it. A man may be alive and conscious in relation to one thing, and dead and unconscious relatively to another. One set of his faculties may be active and conscious, while another set is unconscious and its activity suspended. A person who listens attentively to music is conscious of nothing but sound. One who is wrapped in the admiration of form is only conscious of seeing. Another, who suffers from pain, may be conscious of nothing but the relation that exists between him and the sensation of pain. A man absorbed in thought believes himself alone in the midst of a crowd. He may be threatened by destruction and be unconscious of the danger. If he has the strength of a lion, it will avail him nothing unless he becomes conscious of it. He cannot be immortal unless he becomes conscious of his own immortal life. The more a person learns to realize the true state of his existence, the more will he become conscious of real existence. If he does not realize his true state, he does not know himself. If he fully knows himself, he will be conscious of his own powers. He will know how to exercise them and become strong. To become conscious of the existence of a thing is to possess it. To perceive its existence means to enter into relation with it and to realize the existence of that relation. Consciousness begins, therefore, wherever sensation begins. But sensation and perception of a form are only followed by a recognition of the truth if the principle that exists in that form is a conscious power in our own constitution. If a stranger is introduced to us, we perceive his exterior form and see the clothes which he wears. We realize his existence as a living form, but we know nothing of his true character. His appearance may be prepossessing, and still he may be untruthful. His clothing may be new and elegant, and still his character bad. His body may be healthy, but his soul may be diseased. His certificates and testimonials may be excellent, and yet they may deceive us. If we want to know the true character of the man, we must be able to realize the nature of his character in ourselves. We may look into his eyes, and when soul speaks to soul, the two will enter into conscious relation with each other, and there will be no deception possible. This recognition of the truth by direct perception is one of the faculties which at the present state of evolution are not yet fully developed in man. It is a sixth sense that as yet exists only as a bud in the tree of life, while the other five senses have been fully developed. Still it exists, and therefore the first impression we receive of a stranger is usually correct, but not always believed, because speculation comes in to mislead. Perception is the entering into a relation to the object of one's perception. Such a relation is only possible if the perceiver and the object of his perception exist upon the same plane of existence. For this reason, physical objects are perceived by the physical senses, the things of the soul by the soul, and that which belongs to the spirit can only be perceived by the power of the self-conscious spirit in man. Everything that exists within the universal mind, and nothing can exist outside of it, because the universal mind includes all. Perception is a faculty by which mind learns to know what is going on within itself. To see a thing is to perceive the existence of its appearance within one's own mind. To feel the presence of an invisible power within the soul is to become conscious of its presence by means of the sense of touch that belongs to the mind. Now, what was this chapter about? This chapter, Universal Mind, from my perspective, is about how we can only experience that which we perceive. And that's where imagination comes in, and that's where state comes in, and that's where believing is seeing comes in. That's what this is about. As I said in the beginning of this audio part, keep in mind that this book is from 1888. The last thing that I will say about it is that it's all about perception, awareness, and consciousness. Just because you can't see it now doesn't mean that it is not there. So enjoy having that which you wish to have. Enjoy being that who you wish to be, and imagine better than the best you know. I would say listen to this a couple of more times. It is all up to you, like how strong is your desire of creating the best life for yourself? That's the question. So that was it for now. See you in the next. Ciao, ciao.